Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket eights. In this hand, we have a poster, and it folds to him, and he proceeds to raise 3.5. I don't know anything about him. This is the first hand at the table, so all that I can do is just kind of assign a standard raise. Now, he has money in there. He could have just checked, so I'm going to assume he's got something decent. This is 18.7. Maybe he's got, a wider range. Maybe it's a tighter range, but that gives us a starting point. It folds to us. This is a middle position raiser. I'm on the button, so I have a button calling range. Looks something like this. Once I called, I started thinking maybe I should have gone ahead and raised, 3-bet here. I think there's some value to doing that. Because it puts pressure on the blinds. Both of the blinds are playing 38.5, 36.8. They seem fairly loose. I think if I call, they're gonna probably call. I think with eights, it's better to go up against like one player. So I could raise here and hope to isolate versus this poster. Or I could call and hope for a big hand. So I followed this and followed the charts and called, hoping to hit a big hand. And we do get one blind caller. So the flop comes ace 8-5, pretty good for my hand. Villain bets 10, actually a pretty large bet. That seems strange. You raise 3.5 and then all of a sudden you bet nearly pot. That just, I don't know, seems really strange to me. So almost like maybe he has ace weak kicker, is trying to apply pressure, try to prevent people from drawing out. Maybe kings or queens, but I decided to call. I don't think raising is going to work because if he's doing this as a bluff, if I raise, he's just going to fold. And we don't know about villain 13. I think also if I raise, villain's going to probably fold any hand that he was thinking about calling. So like 6-7, 5-6, 5-7, those weaker hands would probably call at least once. If I raise, they're probably just going to fold. So I chose just to call. We'll see what GTO says. Turn pairs the board, so I have full house, eight's full. I don't think he's going to have a 5. I think at this point I'm way ahead. I think if I demonstrate any sort of straight, he's probably just going to fold here. So he bets 12, about a third pot. I chose just to call. River's 4 diamonds. Villain bets 18, again about a third pot. This time I raised. I think I'm ahead, and if I want to get any more money in this pot, I do have to raise. And the question is, what does this look like? Well, maybe he reads this as a bad bluff. I mean, really, would I have 6-7 in my hand, call, and then all of a sudden raise? And some players will play like this. Some players will take this opportunity to try to bluff and hope to get called by somebody who doesn't believe you. Probably, I think if I raise here, I'm getting called by ace king, ace queen. And those are kind of the hands that I think would have called if I raised earlier in the hand. So I'm not sure. I know we had to raise at least some time in this hand to try to get money in the pot. I just don't know if I did it correctly. Villain did call, so we see a showdown. So let's see what GTO has to say. Here's our GTO solution. I did build the tree with close to accurate bet sizes. So player 1 is going to be c-betting about 28%. This is his range. It's going to be top pair, 2-pair set. It's going to have some weak pairs in there, which are probably include some draws, gut shot, open enders. But when you look at the distribution, he's got some weaker hands in his range. So he did bet, and then it's on me. I should be raising 2.11%. So question is why? You can see I could raise with some of these trips. If I raise, villain's supposed to call 48%. And he's calling with top pair plus. We'll see some raises with 2-pair. So I kind of wonder if maybe if we raise, when we look at like who has nut advantage, like I don't, like I never have trip aces here. So, if I think about raising, I wouldn't have trip aces. Yeah, I could have eights, I could have fives, but would I ever have trip aces? No. Would I ever have two pair? No, probably not. So because I lack some of those big hands, uh, those other big hands, that like my only big hands would be trip fives and trip eights. Probably this is why GTO is saying we should just call. So I did call. I think that's probably good play on my part. Um, when we consider nut advantage, equity edge, he can have aces. I can't. I don't have like ace king. He does. I have only a few ace queens. He has all ace queens. I do have ace jack and ace 10, but would you really raise those? No, not when villain could have a better kicker and so forth. So I think the call works out. All right, so now once he bets, villain's supposed to be betting most of the time. 77.8%. He's betting a lot of hands here, middle pair plus, flush draws, open enders. You could see it, and I bet at this point with that range, what was my calling range? It's gonna probably be close in terms of who's calling, whose equity range is better. You can see I'm at 40%, and then yeah, he's at 51%, and I'm gonna be at, well, he's at almost 52%, which means I'm probably at like 48%, a little more than 48%. So we do have pretty close equity. Now, once he bets it, that's a difference. So when he checks, then I should be ahead. So he bets, which makes his hand a bit stronger, and then it's on us. What do? It looks like we are supposed to call here, and again, I think the reason why is because we don't. Yeah, I mean, if we think about how many strong hands we could have, we could possibly have a five. We could have trip eights, but that's like it. Again, we lack a lot of those ace X hands in our range. So I think since we really have a hard time balancing those balancing our betting range, is probably better just to go ahead and check them all. So I did call the 4 diamonds. It was 4 diamonds. And then villain should be betting again. 3 streets. These are pretty small bets too, so I think if we increase bet size to 50%, 67%, I think he's going to have more polarized range, which probably means he's not going to be betting as frequently as like 77.8 or 86.9, but he's going to be betting, and he's betting wide range of hands, top pair plus, weak pair, middle, some of the middle pairs, no made hands, his bluffs, and so forth. So he bets. Now it's on me. Should we raise? Now it looks like we are raising fives, eights. Looks like we're raising 9-8 a little bit. Kind of that's and a little bit at 8-7s. We don't have a huge number of those, but you can see that we do have small number of combos. We would be calling ace 10, ace jack, ace queen. That's probably right. If we call all of those, I'm kind of thinking it's a coin flip as to whether or not we're ahead. I wouldn't be surprised to see ace king, ace queen, maybe ace jack. So that's why, like with ace jack, I would bet I'm going to probably see ace queen, ace king if he makes these 3 streets, unless he scaled his betting down because he didn't really have anything, and now he's worried. He's worried because of his kicker. So we did raise. Villain should be calling with full house, 2 pair, 3 of a kind. With 5. Top pair is very small percentage call here. He did call, so what does he have? Again, a player like this, I can't really imagine that he's got 3 of a kind. Could have ace 8 maybe, but there's only 1 8 in the deck, so, and there's an ace on board, so there's 3 combos of that. And he had to play this way with all of them. but I called, or he called, and we see showdown, and he shows ace jack. So that is definitely in one of these range, in his range. Ace jack is not actually. So what happened with ace jack? Ace jack is supposed to be a check here. So that is not in his range. So that's kind of interesting, but it matches the strengths. Top pair kicker slowed down or lowered his bet because it wasn't, top kicker. I could easily have the ace queen maybe. But if you think about it, what would an ace queen 3-bet? I think so. Ace queen offsuit definitely could 3-bet. Ace queen suited, which has some playability, could call, but I think ace queen is a hand. We talked about putting pressure on the blinds. I think ace queen is a hand. I go ahead and 3-bet. I don't want to take ace queen multi-way. Let's just try to get heads up. So overall, I think how I played it was okay. I'm not sure if this is going to change. If this changes, if we have a different situation. Yeah, I guess it is. So that turning that full house was a big part of it. Big part of checking, because now it's like, well, there's not many cards out there that could call, so we just call behind instead of raising. So yeah, if we change that to a 4 clubs, then the turn becomes a raise with 8s, also raise with 9, 8, 8, 7, kind of being aggressive, challenging him. Basically, hey, do you really have an ace? What happens if it's, I'm gonna say, let's say 7 of clubs, bets. Yeah, we raise. Now we add our 5s. What happens if it's a higher one? Let's see, king of spades. Villain bets again. I mean, villain should be betting, polarized. Yeah, top pair plus. So he bets. We raise somewhat. 50% of the time we raise. Queen's about the same. Jack is it's a different hand. So he's only betting almost 15%, but 52% with the queen. So Jack is kind of like an interesting hand. Same thing with 10. I think ace jack, ace 10 are definitely in my range, and I think those are kind of scare cards. I could have 8, 9, could have 9, 10 if I called floating. Those hands hit my range, which means that we're probably betting less. Villain should be betting less because of the perception that the card helps me more than it helps him. Okay, I think that's okay. So low cards, we can raise, but 10 and jack, he's going to be checking. We still kind of are looking to raise it at that point. So it does kind of seem like it's more of a quads and full house we check. I'm sorry, call. Quads and full house we call. But if that turn didn't pair a board, we can increase. We can go ahead and raise. Definitely, it doesn't seem like we're raising at all on the flop. It just looks like we're calling. Obviously, we could raise 8s, we could raise 5, and GTO suggests we do it a small percentage of the time, but I think calling's probably okay, especially with that third player in the hand. Why not call and maybe hope he improves? So instead of one guy that might be bluffing, we get a second guy who would be willing to go down to the river with it. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. I think villain was a little bit too aggressive, so take a note on him, and take a note on him. So if we see it and he does something like this again, especially lowering it, we know it's not like a premium hand, or at least it doesn't seem like it's a premium hand. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you did, look tomorrow for another.